Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the RoadMap podcast. Got an extra special guest on with me today, Marty Holmes, all the way from Pure, Michigan. Marty, appreciate you making the drive here. It wasn't easy, but you made it.
Yeah, that's right. No,
Absolutely.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, 100%, man. I'm excited to work with you. We had a great chat last night before. We've been getting to know each other pretty well in the last couple of days, and I'm hoping to share that with the audience as well. You've got an awesome story, extensive career, a lot of interesting things that you've been a part of and done that have led you to this moment. So I'm excited to unpack those a little bit to figure out how'd you get here? Why are you here? What are you looking to do now that you're here? So I'm excited to share all that with everyone. So take us all the way back. Who the heck is Marty Holmes?
Well, let's see. I'll do a quick family thing.
Let's do it.
Father of three. Been
Awesome.
Married for 28 years.
Okay, a few years.
Years, right?
Yep.
Actually, we've been together since we were 18, so
Love it.
long family. Great kids. I think we had chatted also about kind of have a history. I was lucky to have three boys that are all into sports.
Yeah.
I've been into sports. I played, loved baseball when I was younger and played competitive hockey.
Yeah.
And
you still have all your teeth, I see.
No, they're not all. They're not. No. There are quite a few bonding out there.
There you go.
No. But for the most part,
Yeah.
No major surgery to put me back together.
There you go.
At least in my mouth. I've had
There you go.
shoulders and knees and stuff, but that's pretty typical for a hockey player.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Baseball, hockey,
Yep.
3 boys, married for a couple years.
Married for a little while.
Love it. Awesome. And you've been in the Michigan area your whole life?
I have. I grew up in East Lansing, which is right next to MSU. In fact, that was kind of our playground growing up, just because we were right there. I knew the entire campus. It was a great place to kind of hang out, take off on our bikes there. I did leave for a short while, go to Central, lived in Mount Pleasant, and then just outside in Clare, rented a little house.
Yeah.
So I went there for a little bit, got a degree in finance.
Okay.
Left for a little while. Right from there, I took a job as an analyst for a bank.
Okay.
And
How long did you do that?
I did it for just over a year.
Okay.
And realized it just wasn't. It was very stifling. I thought at the time it was going to be a really kind of a sales opportunity.
Okay. Yeah.
Meaning you do analysis, you meet with. I was doing corporate analysis.
Okay.
But that I was going to get a chance to meet with them. And then I find out it's going to be 5-8 years before you do that. And you're just on sale or salary that whole time. You might make a little bonus once you start doing that. And then I realized that's just not it. Left that and ended up starting a business with my sister. It was actually kind of a small takeover from my dad. There was not exactly, but it was a little bit different what he was doing. But my sister and I went in business together for a very long time, actually. Let's see, good 15 years total.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, sister's awesome partner, still very close. We're really close in age.
I don't know many brother and sister combos that can run a business together. I'm my sister, so I can't speak to it. But
it was huge. It was wonderful. The fact that, did we battle? Yes, but when you have somebody you can trust 100%, no question, has your back, that's huge. I had enough, from there to now, I've had enough experience with scenarios that I looked at starting other stuff that turned out with people that unfortunately, look good on the surface and just were not.
Yeah.
And that's, the one thing I kind of learned early on is you only want to be with people you trust. Be honest. I kind of preach that to my kids. If you got friends that you don't trust or that might once in a while do something you don't agree with, or I don't mean not agree with, but integrity, you might want to think about cutting those people loose.
Yeah, you compromise once on that, what's going to stop you again?
Yeah, exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so got into business with your sister, built that up, and then obviously that wasn't permanent because I know you have some history after that, right?
Yeah, so we ended up selling that business to a large company that it later turned out to be Gannett, which is Gannett and Knight Ridder were the companies that owned all the newspapers, the major newspapers in all the metro areas in the country.
Gotcha.
And so the magazine what we did, and we went to business together, it was a magazine for RNs. And we covered Michigan and Ohio. And we were big enough that, and those markets aren't giant, but we were big enough to where there just couldn't be two people in there. And so when we were competing with the newspapers, there was they kind of realized, hey, it's time to buy up. There was about 3 other companies like us. We were the smallest. There was a couple of them that we worked with, one that we were very close partners with, that we battled against them. So they helped us with content and editors, because at that time, publishing was crazy expensive. We were mailing out to 250,000 RNs, and so
it's a couple.
Yeah, it wasn't cheap. So we were trying to keep our costs down, and so working with them. But anyway, the at the time, Gannett was buying up all these specialty magazines since print was still alive. That was before the internet really kicked in.
Sure.
And got a chance to sell. And it worked out great. It was a tough decision to sell because giving up your control.
Yeah, it's your baby.
Yeah, you're giving up your control. But at the time, we knew the internet was taking off. We were starting to do a lot online and realized print has not taken, at the time, paper had not gone up fast enough. So, paper hadn't gone up for a while, and we were going to get a big hit. The post office was always on you.
Oh, sure.
And those were big expenses, and both of those groups don't give a don't care if your margins aren't that high. So when your costs go up, obviously the margins would up. So when we sold that, that worked out. Both of us did have to stay on for some golden handcuffs to be able to get a payout.
Yeah.
And it worked out pretty good.
Okay.
We had debt because we were trying to grow really fast, and it's just the timing was a little odd. But and then from that, I had during that time I was buying up a whole bunch of domains. I think I'd mentioned that I own this, and I still own them all. And I did it for a long time. I was doing what's called domaining.
Yeah.
So a lot of domains with very small microsites or called parked sites that were generating ads from Google and from, at the time, Yahoo was probably the big one, but obviously that's not the case anymore. And then that, all that kind of, because of the algorithms, it dropped off. It was probably about maybe 8.5 or 9 years ago.
Okay.
I saw in a very, very short period of time where I was at least covering expenses, wasn't making a ton of money, but I was staying alive, that all of a sudden I lost like over 90% of the revenue.
Yikes.
Because of how the algorithms, they started looking down on the type of business I was doing, because a lot of people were doing it.
Sure.
So
and then big shift there.
Big shift, and then it was like, okay, I better now I got to go look for, maybe I better get a job.
Yeah.
The expenses weren't going away. Kids were getting older.
Yeah.
I had mentioned that with the kids, and we have talked about I was coaching, and so at that same time, for the kids who were in travel ball, it's like, hey, travel ball is expensive, and it wasn't. My kids were all very good, and so that meant you're not just playing around here. You're playing Midwest, and then come summer, you're playing all the way down south, and it was a wonderful experience. But the cost was getting high.
Not cheap.
It's like so. I started burning through some savings, and then we've talked about some other odd things that have happened in my life.
Life kind of just hits you.
Life
when
hits
it
you.
decides to hit you.
It hits you. It's like it was an anxiety. Very anxious times, but it's like, it is what it is. So it's time to get a job. Yeah. So a while back, I ended up putting my resume out, and I got lucky enough, this was, quite a few years ago now, that I'd got a call from a company that was a commercial security, and it's basically high-level video surveillance, and then analytical software and things like that.
Got it.
For that camera stuff.
Yeah.
And I did that for quite a while for a great owner, great guy. It was a relatively small company. And then it was purchased by another company.
Now you're really in corporate America.
Yeah, big time. And it was fine. They were, but changed everything.
Yeah.
I kind of knew at that time, I got to start in my head. I wasn't during the time when I was with the smaller company, because I loved the dude was awesome. Just loved it. It was a great environment. But as soon as that day, they said, hey, we're going to sell. It's like, I got to start looking at something where I'm not put in this position again, that I can kind of control what I do. Because there was a lot of hours involved. Yeah. And, I realized that doing your own thing, because I did, even in high school, I owned I did, along with a buddy of mine, we did lawns.
Sure. Yeah.
And he went on to make it into a giant business. He still is
awesome.
around, Luke.
There you go.
A wonderful guy, and is still killing it. And I did recondition cars. So I had a news, I also delivered papers when I was
You're
young.
familiar with the grind.
Yeah. And so I just realized, I got to get back to where I have some control. And I wasn't thinking this yet. I hadn't met you yet. But that was definitely on my, on my mind.
Yeah, so you're looking for the entrepreneur type
Yeah.
of role, or the flexible, go at your own pace, which at your pace is high,
But not
Needs
even
to be pretty fast.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're
you,
good.
but
Yeah,
Not even that. It was, I want to control it. I think I want to, if I can push, if I can work hard, I see the rewards, as opposed to someone, hey, I'll give you some of the rewards.
yeah,
Because when my sister and I were working, we both worked very, very hard. We kept our, we probably could have used another 10 or 15 employees, but we, once we knew everything, it was, we would work every single day. Okay. There's no way around it. The goal was we controlled it, so we knew we could put every dollar you're saving, at least we realized you put that in your pocket.
Yeah.
And that was pretty huge. And so, and then part of too is when I was working, because having a job, that W-2, you can't expense anything. But I realized we started getting, my wife and I, during that time, I think I mentioned to you too, is we ended up getting behind in tax, realizing it wasn't taking enough because I was basing it on things from the past.
Yeah.
And so, and not being able to expense so many different things that you do.
Yeah, it's a different world.
Yeah, totally different world. So kind of how, and I'd say I had looked at a number of different things. I didn't find something. I was doing it when I was looking, or while I was still at this other company that was the acquirer.
Yeah.
And then when it came, it came to an end where just wasn't going to work out.
Yeah.
And I think even at that time it was stressful because of I've got bills. It's kind of tough being kind of at one point thought I had enough to retire, and that's just not the case. Now, when you spend more, you make a few unfortunate decisions. I got hit pretty hard, even in the 2007 and 8. I was involved in with a friend doing some flipping houses.
Yeah, and that'll
very good time.
You.
No, not a good time. Wonderful guy. We both got beat up pretty bad on that.
Yeah.
But that was also, that was still, I kind of chalked it up to, sometimes you're just an entrepreneur and you try it and you lose.
Yeah, 100%. So you're looking for that entrepreneur. You wanted something a little more safe than some stuff that you'd done before, where you can control what you're making, reap the rewards of the effort that you're putting in. And then what are some things that you heard or saw about us that made you think that's it?
So I had started watching, and I think it all started with, it must have been a YouTube short and it wasn't you guys even. It was, I think it was the Ford Group or something. You've probably seen it, but I don't know. Yeah. But so, and then I started, I've heard about the business. I'd looked at it before. It just didn't work out. One of the things I think I mentioned, I looked at doing this a while back. It was not just life insurance, but it would have been property casualty and other things.
All the insurance, yep.
All the insurance. And because at that time you were still driving all the time, and something happened with that person that it just realized that's not going to happen.
So you were looking into other things. You were looking at something you can control, something that allowed you that entrepreneurial benefits of risk reward, and you were looking around. What did you see or hear about us and this opportunity that made you think that's it? I want to work there.
So one of the things that really I started making a list. This was actually 2.5 years ago that I started saying, it's got to be an industry that has, the sales cycle is not dramatically long.
Yeah.
Where I was coming from, it was months sometimes, and even longer because I was dealing with schools and government and things. Yeah. And too many things can break down during that time.
Yeah.
And when I had reviewed kind of the things that I was looking at. Obviously, 1099, totally fine. That still falls in my
You
category.
prefer that because then you get to expense stuff.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And then
You're fine. No
Okay.
worries. Yeah, you're good.
And then I had, again, seen a YouTube short and talking about life insurance.
Yeah.
And the thought that in a very short period of time, days, you can start a sales process and end it, right? And then the more I made me start looking into it. And that was all I watched for probably, I don't know, I was watching it when I started talking to you.
Okay, yeah.
But I had started before that,
Yeah.
which was kind of serendipitous, I guess.
Yeah, I agree.
And then the fact that it's a numbers game is that I like that I can control that. Volume, if you can control that volume, and it's not, hey, this is all you're going to get, or these are the only people you can talk to.
Yeah.
Well, if there's only 25 and I've already talked to those 25, now what?
Right.
That's just not the case in this. And so, and then once I started getting in depth, realizing that there is a great opportunity. One, you're doing something excellent for people that you need, because I wish I had, like I'd mentioned, there was a number of scenarios that I wish we would have had more insurance and a certain insurance with living benefits that would have made quite a difference. Yeah. And then the opportunity when you start doing the math is pretty big.
Yeah.
And most of the time I was doing the math just individually, just on me. I knew that there was opportunity. I didn't know the extent of
and how it can scale.
Yeah, but the opportunity is pretty obscene.
Yeah.
If you are willing to work hard, willing to focus on doing the right thing, and like we talked last night, is yes, you got to grind.
Yeah.
If it's money and grind, I can do that.
Yeah. It's simple.
It's
Simple.
Hard. It's simple, but hard.
Yes.
Right? Which, as you said,
100%.
which I think is a great quote. I've actually written that down. It's sitting on my wall.
Love it.
And the reason you think of that, it's simple. Once you can get certainly there's some cadence to your speaking and other things, just so people can, listen to you, so that they can get the information that they need is crucial. But that is relatively simple.
Yeah. Simple, not easy.
Simple, not easy, which So, and I got to give a shout out too, is that what really pushed me to make this decision, because right when you and I were talking, and I'll get back to why I decided with you, but I have one of my middle son had started a business last year, and he's 21, and really inspired me to rethink, because I've pushed my kids. You want to control your life. Now you want to own a business. You want, or 1099, where you control, you grind, you work hard, you're going to get the rewards. And then there's once you can kind of get it going and you have people that you can make money off of, meaning employees or however you do that, is you can see that, growth. There's no cap on that.
Yeah, then you're multiplying instead of just doing it all yourself.
So Asher is Cullen is my oldest, Asher is my middle, and then Trenton.
Love it.
But Asher's, watching him work hard. He's got two things he's doing, but he grinds.
That's awesome.
And he is that kind of inspired me to say, I got to get back to this. And that's it forced me to kind of pull that trigger and start really looking. Yeah. About the time that I said, this is something that I want to get into, I get an email from, I think it was from Chelsea, to possibly interview. Yeah. And then I started researching all the different companies that were out there. And there's some pluses and minuses, but what I was looking for, since this is a different type of sales. I've done sales most of my life, but this is a different animal. Every sale is different. I've been doing outside sales, so that's a totally different game.
Beast. Yep.
Yeah. So I started researching it, and you guys have a lot of YouTube videos and shorts.
Yeah, we're out there.
You are out there, and I got a chance I knew what you look like, I knew your voice, all of that before you and I were ever on a podcast, or excuse me, I watched your podcast before we were ever on Zoom.
Yeah.
Same with Mike. And then I watched, I obviously saw all the other, guys that are above you. But and part of that, I think what really drew me in is I'm mature enough to know, and I got old enough to know, I don't know enough about this. I need somebody and some people, one that can have my back. And that are willing to, when I say I don't know what the hell I'm doing, I'm stuck here, that I can help, and then not to belittle me or talk down, or you know what I mean? Because I have some pride too. I might push back on that, and not having to worry about that. Once I met you, and Ed, Mike, both you guys, that that's not the case. Yeah. It's you guys are genuine, and you guys want. And I've learned that more while we're here, because we've spent a lot of time chatting, is I just wanted to be with a team that I knew I could trust. Yeah. Trust is a huge thing for me. So
yeah, that's what people need. So so what I'm hearing is you were looking for the entrepreneurial grind where you had control of the input and what you saw from that input, the rewards, and you were rewarding yourself, not others, with all that. They didn't have to, here's a little crumb for the work that you did. And then you realized, hey, insurance seems like a place that I could really get behind, because there's been different seasons where I see the value for this, and I can get behind and believe that it's important for people. And so you had the belief in that, and then you needed somewhere that you could trust the system and the people involved, and feel like, hey, they have my back, and I can trust what they're saying. I don't have to pick and choose what's good, what's not, what's for them, what's for me. And then you felt, hey, I saw that here, I felt that here. So immediately you would have seen just massive success then, right, with us, and just right off the gate, just crushing it. And
so, no.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. No, not. We had talked about this before, and is that yes, it takes the one thing I think. Once I made the decision, I was ready to go that day, right? And that. But, that takes, I got to get, I had to do the licensing, and then I've got to get, there was some process of, getting set up with the carriers, and that, that gap there. But even, I'm only maybe 3 weeks in, not even 3 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
And, it's, I'll admit, obviously, because I'm not young, I was the first, because, the first week I was pretty tired, and it wasn't a physical tired, it was a mental tired. Yeah. Because, you're doing something new. I'm not too proud to admit there's some anxiety, and everybody, I think, will deal with that. You're dealing with some anxiety you're making calls because it's different.
It's very different.
I talk all the time, but you're talking it's a different type of thing. And, but that quickly disappears to, all right, you have to start playing a game with yourself. This is a numbers game. Okay, 20 and then go do something, or 40 and then maybe, and even today making calls, because I was making calls before coming in here, was, all right, you get a nope, I'm all set to, okay, now I'm just getting closer. We all hear that, but when you are visually seeing it, that this is what you got to do, it takes a certain number to get to the person that that's gonna look that needs the help and wants to talk with you about that. And, you just have to believe in that, believe in the numbers, believe in the system, and follow through. Now, I am still, I would say my path is
we're trending up.
It's trending up, right. And I did try to break it down and Mike helped me with this, and we were on live dials. It's like, look, just break it down. First thing is, just focus on setting your appointments, and then focus on, getting people to show up. It was easier breaking that down. I like that process because I can visually see that in my head and draw it out. Yeah. And that's worked. Yeah. You start doing this, now there's, am I killing it yet? No, I see the path though. Yeah. And that's what's exciting. Yeah. And the one thing I wanted to touch on too is that is not having a cap is huge. The one thing I just couldn't get my head around is having the salary for the last while, because it was a salary and commission, is you could, if you did 200% of sales you still weren't making that much.
Yeah.
It just was.
It didn't reflect.
It did not reflect, and that doing 200% means you would be doing you're doing 80 hours, and not seeing the reward, and then no residual type thing.
Yeah.
Because in this business there's potential for some residuals, or that you'll still have that customer that is yours, whereas many industries,
it's not yours.
It's not yours.
No.
And even if it was mine, it's really not mine, right?
Yeah.
It's the it's the business that you're working for.
Yeah.
So
absolutely, yeah. No, the uncapped ceiling is something that I experienced, that I was very unmotivated, very apathetic, or frankly lazy coming into this, because with me and my personality, or how I see things, I would see a ceiling, so I wouldn't even try, which is pathetic. But I would see the ceiling, and I'm like, yeah, well, it's not even worth trying for it then, right? But then once I was somewhere where there was no ceiling, it kind of scared me at first, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. I can really shoot for something really big here, and that's kind of what drew that out of me, I believe. So it's really cool that you're seeing that already. Let's wrap up with this thought here. You mentioned, hey, at first I was just kind of looking at this on a kind of micro scale of what does this look like for me, and now I'm realizing, hey, I know some killers, and this is something that if I can do it, maybe they can do it as well. And what have some of those thoughts brought to you?
Yeah, so I think the value, and I want to hit on why I'm here. We're in we're in a lock-in, and I think like everybody, I pushed back a little bit, thinking, okay, what is this going to be? Is it more of a promoting themselves or company? Not that. This has been hugely valuable in that sitting down and going over, I had thought about building, the value is in building a team in the long run. But you going over, you and Mike, when we were in, doing the classroom kind of setting, is going over, here's what it looks like. And you guys shared these are the numbers. Here's the teams. Here's what they're doing.
Yeah, no
so
smoke
it wasn't
and mirrors.
Hey,
it
wasn't
theoretically someone might be able to do this.
Yeah, that was, and I think that was that's why I even took pictures of those, because that's huge. Is that this was no joke, and those people that you used on the board. Well, I'm seeing those. I see those people on our Zoom calls. Yeah. So these are real people. This is no joke, and so I think that. There's a huge value in being here. Yes, I fought it. But it's also been fun. Is that getting a chance to spend direct time? It worked out great. One of the first nights is that just spending time actually with you and Mike was huge, because I wanted to get to know you, because I'm putting my faith in some guys, and 100%. I already was. Yeah. And I did trust you, but it really cemented that for me. Is that that things are important to you. And there's some other things about you guys that don't have to get into probably here that I think is important to me, not just trust, but caring about others. I've spent, like I've said, I spend a lot of money and time coaching, and that's giving to others. Mm-hmm. And I truly believe that we got to be doing that. Yeah. It helps your soul. It helps your mind. It helps your community and other people. Yeah. And I can't tell you how many times I run across people that, hey, coach, or whatever. And that's such a good feeling. Absolutely. So.
Yeah. No. It's what we're attempting to do is build a group of like-minded people, and that's what attracts birds of a feather type of a thing. That's what attracts us here, and that means we're attracting the right type of people, right? You become the right type of person, or best you can, so that you attract the right type of person as well, whether that's in marriage or business or friendship or what have you. And no, it's very fair of you to want to vet or get to know who you're in business with, because that's what we do here. We're in business together, but our own businesses. We own our own businesses. I don't own your business, you don't own my business, but we're in business together, though, and it's a very unique, very awesome opportunity to be able to share it with others. So I appreciate you hopping on, sharing your story, an extensive career full of all kinds of different things with your hand in just about everything. So to wind up here and all the value and experience that you bring has been awesome getting to know you, and I'm looking forward to the years to come. Excited for the people that see this and think, man, what's that Marty up to now? That's a crazy dude. What's he up to now? And to be able to show them, hey, this is real. We'll show you. We'll take you through it. You can be skeptical. That's fine. We're
It's
big
real.
boys. We can take the skepticism. I was, you were, everyone is, right? There's so many things out there that are too good to be true. So when you see something that looks too good to be true, you assume it's like all the other things that were.
Yeah.
And then the separating factor here is the work. That's it. But that's also the proving factor for why it's not too good to be true. Because it looks too good to be true until you see the work that's required, and you're like, okay. I see why people aren't crushing it here from all over, everywhere, all the time. Everyone that comes in crushes it. No, they can, but the amount of work and dedication that you have to commit to is next level. If you're willing to do that, there's no ceiling. Appreciate you coming in, Marty. It's been great getting to know you.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank
we'll
you
have
much.
you on next time. Look forward to the
Yeah,
growth.
I'll be back again. I'm sure. I'll be down. I'll be coming to the next ones for sure.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
All right, my friend. Thank you.
It's a wrap.